All things considered, fantastic.
Oh, so thick.
This video is sponsored by your ex-girlfriend randomly messaging you on Instagram and then deleting it before you can see what she said. At Not Our Future, by the way. Get that plug in there. After having two fairly hit-or-miss series of the show, Series 4 is without a doubt the 10th Doctor's best. This is down to, as I see it, three main reasons. Firstly, the writing is consistent and not a total mess. Secondly, it manages to bring together different elements from past series in a satisfying way. And thirdly, they gave Ten a companion who wasn't madly in love with him.
You're not mating with me, sunshine!
This is Donna Noble. These two met before in a Christmas special, which was not brilliant.
What?
A lot of people didn't like her because she was loud and bitchy and annoying, but redemption arc, in Series 4 we see that beneath all of that, she's kind and loyal and deeply empathetic. She's got a fierce moral compass and she's always going to do what she thinks is right, even if this guy disagrees.
Listen, I don't know what sort of kids you've been flying around with in outer space, but you're not telling me to shut up.
Woo! You tell him. And as for her being a loudmouth, she only shouts down at the world because she doesn't think anyone would listen otherwise. After all, she's just a secretary from Chiswick, which is a shithole. So who's gonna give a toss about her? I do. The chemistry between Ten and Donna is so strong that several episodes are improved just by those two being there. The main strength of this series is absolutely their dynamic, and it would not at all be the same with a different companion. See, I like Ten as much as everyone else. You just need to pair him with someone that works. We start with partners in crime, which it's not great, but it is fun. It's worth watching just for this scene alone, and straight off the bat, running into each other, you can already tell that these two are going to be great to watch. Episode 2, The Fires of Pompeii, featuring the most Welsh Romans ever committed to television.
Mum, I've told you, I'm not a doctor, not yet.
Big up Wales though. This story is mostly kind of generic, but the real meaty part is with how it deals with fixed points. Within the show, it's established that time can be rewritten. You can go back in time and change some minor events, like stopping the Earth from being destroyed, apparently. However, sometimes there are these things. A fixed point is just how it sounds. It's an event that can't be changed no matter what you do. Pompeii is a fixed point in time. No matter what the Doctor does, he can't stop Vesuvius from erupting, and he can't evacuate Pompeii's citizens. And Donna thinks that's pretty lame. Character conflict ensues. What are you doing here? You don't show up for another 6 years. Episode 3 is called Planet of the Ood. It's about as good as episode 2, which is pretty good. Bit more of a standard episode, but it's better than average. Doctor Who diving into space slavery is based. Slavery is bad, by the way. And fleshing out the origins of a creature we've seen before in the new series is a pretty cool idea that I wish the show did more often. So far, so good. The next one is a two-parter about Sontarans, it's okay. Sontarans are clone warriors. They've been in the show a lot throughout the years. Honestly, I think they're more of a C-tier Doctor Who villain, but they do have their fans. Also, Martha's back for a bit. It's not bad, it's just okay. Which, you know, it's fine. It's not going to be gold. Next is the one with the misleading title and the script written on Swiss cheese. Interesting concepts, but it's riddled with plot holes. They introduce the Doctor's sort of daughter, not really, don't get excited, then immediately kill her off, only to bring her back again. Also, Martha does literally nothing the whole episode. It kinda makes you wonder why they bothered including her at all. But that being said, it has got this scene, which is pretty fucking sexy. Unicorn and the Wasp. This is the third type of this story we've had now, and I'm at the point where I can say I'm not a fan. We had Charles Dickens meeting ghosts, but they were actually aliens. William Shakespeare meeting witches, who were actually aliens. And Agatha Christie solving a murder mystery, where the killer is a giant wasp. Oh, who was actually an alien. What the hell was this writer smoking? Oh, and he's transphobic. Lovely.
Guess who's back?
At this point, RTD had decided he was done with the show, for now, and it was time to find a replacement. Obviously there was only ever going to be one serious contender. In Silence of the Library and Forest of the Dead, Moff starts his tenure as showrunner 2 years early by introducing a character from the Doctor's future. Spoilers! This is River Song, and she's going to be pretty important later. I've already harped on about Moffat a lot in part 1, and I'm about to do a lot more for series 5, but don't worry, then I'm going to start shit talking him. I think you get the message by this point that I think he's pretty fucking good at writing Doctor Who episodes. Who turned out the lights? You know how in the last video I said that there were only ever 2 stories that really scared me when I was a kid? Yeah, this is the other one. And that's mostly down to these guys. They're called the Vashta Narada. And basically they're flesh-eating microorganisms that live in the shadows. They literally live in the dark. And they're peckish motherfuckers. They get more hungry than an American in a salad bar. Just kidding to the 20% of my audience who are Americans. But no, seriously, these guys will eat you alive in less than a second. And then what happens in the story is they get inside these spacesuits and then they start walking around in them, with the freshly devoured skeletons of the astronauts still inside. This is a kids show. Allegedly. You afraid of the dark, boys and girls? Probably, you are fucking children. Well, now you're gonna be fucking terrified of it. Like with the Weeping Angels, Moffat takes a simple concept and uses it to create a terrifying monster. Not everyone comes out of the dark. Sometimes you get turned into the remnants of a doner kebab. This monster, combined with the introduction of River Song, creates one of the most memorable stories in the entire show. Granted, some elements are a little dated, but overall, it's unsurprisingly another one of 10's very best episodes. Russell must have been getting pretty annoyed by this point of Moffat constantly stealing his thunder, because after this, he decides to also write some of the best stories of the entire show. Midnight is the first story where the Doctor is mostly without a companion. He's holidaying around on a planet that can't support life, he gets on a bus to see the sights, the bus breaks down and then something starts a knocking. Technically speaking, not much actually happens in this story. It's 40 minutes of people getting increasingly panicked in a confined space. They start turning on each other, and then they start turning on the Doctor. His greatest asset, being able to talk his way out of any situation, becomes his greatest liability when faced with an entity that's only power is copying everyone else's words. Seeing 10 gradually lose grip of the situation is incredibly gripping. Ooh, it's not even funny. And I do love a story with good old-fashioned bug-eyed paranoia. So where was Donna in all of this? Sunbathing. I've just been sunbathing myself in December. Then I get back from Portugal and it's -2. You know, it's really too cold to be wearing this. Better. On the plus side though, I've come back to find that I've got a small following now, which is pretty cool. Hello. Anyway, what was I talking about? So the real world reason why Donna wasn't in Midnight is because Catherine Tate was busy filming the next episode. Turn Left is the Dr. Light episode for this series, and okay. The last few episodes of Series 4 are kind of the culmination of the entire show up to this point, so if you haven't seen this era of the show before and you think you might like it, this is the point where you should stop watching the video now. Skip ahead to Series 5, there are time codes in the description. This is your very last chance for it not to be spoiled in 5, 4, 3... Okay, why the fuck is she here? Last time we saw Rose, she was supposedly trapped forever in an alternate universe. And yet, here she is. This isn't the main universe, by the way. Parallel universe shenanigans happen, and Donna ends up going into a timeline where she never met the Doctor, meaning that he died shortly after the events of Series 2. So all of the threats that he stopped in Series 3 and Series 4 end up actually happening. And the world kinda goes to shit. London gets nuked by a replica of the Titanic. It's a whole thing. Now personally, I think this sounds like a brilliant idea. But unfortunately after this, the UK basically turns to fascism 15 years ahead of the curve. The entire planet gets choked by poison gas, all of the overweight people in America end up dying, which the last time I checked was quite a lot of them. Sorry, I'm just joking, I'm just kidding around. But also I'm spitting facts, so... All in all, the world goes basically to shit. Luckily, Donna manages to fix the timeline with a little help from Rose. The thing is, as bad as all of this is, something even worse is coming around the corner. Rose escaped from her parallel universe because all universes are breaking down, and the walls between the worlds are crumbling faster than the UK healthcare system. After sending Donna on her way back to the regular timeline, Rose gives her a message for the Doctor, resulting in a cliffhanger and next time trailer of pure hype. Every companion we've met so far, the modern day Earth being invaded on a scale we haven't seen before, explosions, dramatic close-ups, this fucking guy. Yeah, for those who've been paying attention, you know what this series has been missing. Roll in the pepper pots! The Daleks are back, baby, and shockingly, they're really good in this one. This finale is up there with Series 1's, in fact it's probably the best finale in the show up to this point. Davros is here, and he's the dude who created the Daleks, and he's literally the only A-list tier Doctor Who villain the show isn't constantly wheeling out for ratings. At time of writing, he's only been in one other story of the revived show, making his appearance here genuinely noteworthy. Even without him though, the Daleks themselves are actually menacing this story. All of the companions who've met the Daleks before know that they're all gonna get fucked harder than an OnlyFans model promoting a Valentine's Day discount. Captain Jack bluntly tells his Torchwood pals, "I'm sorry, we're dead." Sarah Jane breaks down in tears holding her teenage son, thinking that he's going to die at such a young age. Dalek's presence here actually has weight to it. I mean, say what you will about Russell T Davies, for all his faults, the guy can fucking write good Dalek stories. I don't even like the Daleks that much, and yet his Dalek stories are consistently some of my favourites throughout the entire show. And the fact that this story also brings together all of these characters from the past series, as well as characters from the show's two spin-offs, Torchwood and the Sarah Jane Adventures, bringing all of them together and making it work, it was Doctor Who's Avengers moment years before the Avengers was even a thing. Good bloody shit if you ask me. Oh, and I didn't even mention this cliffhanger from part 1.
He's dying, and you know what happens next. It's starting. It's too late. I'm regenerating.
The story also does a nice job of wrapping up the RTD era as a whole. Everyone's characters get a nice goodbye, Rose finally gets a happily ever after moment, and then there's Donna. Oh, Donna. So big time shenanigans happen, resulting in Donna saving the day, but as a consequence, she gets her mind wiped by the Doctor of everything she'd ever done with him. So all of her development done this series gets chucked out the window. She'll never know about all the amazing things she's done, she'll never know how actually she is more than just a secretary from a shithole in London, and she'll forget all about her best friend. Well, until Russell comes back in 15 years and ruins it, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. It's such a tragic ending, and unlike with Rose and Martha's exits, we're left to actually dwell on it, with Ten saying goodbye to Donna's grandfather and being a sad, lonely boy in the TARDIS. So I just got something in my eye. Well, that took a while. So overall, I think this series is pretty similar to Series 1. The first half is a bit of a mixed bag, but none of it is terrible, and the second half is consistently amazing. However, I think in Series 4 there's a lot less cringy moments compared to Series 1, and I think this series as a whole has aged a lot better. And overall, I think it's a fitting conclusion to the RTD era. Series 4... yeah, fuck it. Series 4 gets put in GOAT. Series 5... oh wait, hang on. So in 2008, Series 4 wrapped up, but in 2009, Moffat still wasn't ready yet to start Series 5, so the Russell T Davies production team decided to commission a series of specials. We got The Next Doctor, misleading title, Planet of the Dead, The Waters of Mars, and then The End of Time Part 1 and 2. Now I'm not going to talk about The Next Doctor or The End of Time Part 1, because I feel like this time next year, maybe I want to make a video just about Doctor Who Christmas specials. Don't hold me to it, but I will talk about the others. Planet of the Dead is the first one to be filmed in HD, and that was kind of the whole point. Yes, it's fine, I guess. There isn't really much of a story to it, it's mainly just an excuse to go, hey, the show's in HD now. The Waters of Mars. Okay, honestly, it might be my favourite episode of the show. Told you I'd say that more than once. So remember before how I was talking about fixed points in time? Well, so in this story, the Doctor goes to the first off-world colony on Mars. Now, as you may know, we're not on Mars yet, at time of recording. So what makes this one interesting is it's kind of a historical episode, but it's set in the future. You know how earlier I was talking about fixed points in time? Well, the destruction of the Mars colony is a fixed point in time. No matter what the Doctor does, all of these people are going to get barbecued. And that's because the captain of the base, Adelaide Brooke, she sets off a nuclear device that kills everyone. And no one ever knows why she does that. By this point, I was just about old enough to stop being scared of the show, but if I was born 1 year earlier, then these guys? They would have scared the fucking piss out of me. They don't even have a name, they're just the Flood. And their whole deal is that if you get infected by them, you turn into a turbocharged power washer. All it takes is contact with one drop of water and you turn into one of these fucking zombies. Name one other show that makes water this scary. Well, apart from any documentary covering the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Knowing that he can't change what's about to happen, the 10th Doctor actually spends most of the episode trying to leave.
I don't know, Pompeii.
Imagine you were in Pompeii
What the hell's that got to do with it?
and you tried to save them.
But in doing so, you make it happen. Anything I do just makes it happen.
Why won't you help, Doctor, if you know all of this?
Sometimes I can, sometimes I do. Most times I can save someone or anyone, but not you.
Damn. He has a change of heart though, and he kind of loses his fucking mind.
You said we die!
Yes, because there are laws. There are laws of time. And once upon a time, there were people in charge of those laws, but they died. They all died. Do you know who that leaves? Me! Stay taken me all these years to realize the laws of time are mine, and they will obey me!
I don't want to spoil it any further, but this is definitely my favourite 10th Doctor story. It really feels as well like the 10th Doctor's character has been leading up to this moment. Kind of a shame they drop it for the next one though. I'm not a big fan of John Simm's Master, I'm gonna be honest. I think he's a little one note. And in the end of time, Russell gives him Skeletor powers. Oh, and he turns literally everyone on the planet into him, and it's a really bad effect. It's cringy. It's peak fucking cringy. I really thought Russell was kind of past it by this point, but yep, thought wrong. The stuff with 10 and Donna's grandfather Wilf is objectively amazing. Wilf is kind of the best companion, like low-key. Sorry fangirls, I don't like this enough that it redeems the entire story. I gotta say though, I do like the twist on why 10 ends up regenerating, although I'm not a big fan of the farewell tour he does afterwards. Like, didn't we already do this in Journey's End? Plus, Martha randomly ends up with Mickey, like, what the fuck was that about? And then of course there's 10's final line.
I don't want to go.
As 11 says later, 10 had vanity issues. It just made it that much harder for Moffat and Matt Smith to try and bring people back on side. So yeah, I'm not a fan. 10 deserved better, what can I say? Okay, Series 5! We start out with the undisputed best first episode for a new Doctor in the entire show. No, like, the entire show. And on top of that, this is also the best series opener that we've had of the revival. The 11th Hour aired just 4 months after the end of Time Part 2, but it announces itself with so much confidence that the RTD era feels like light years away.
Hello. I'm the Doctor.
Smith's portrayal of the madman in a box is just so fresh and different from what came before that you can't help but get sucked into the fairy tale world that he and Moffat have created. 11th Hour draws influence from Moffat's earlier episode The Girl in the Fireplace, with the Doctor meeting a character as a child and then again as an adult. Surprise, your imaginary friend is real, and also there's a monster living in your house. Oof, yeah, that CGI is a bit rough, innit? But pre-fame Olivia Colman's here. Not a single line is wasted, every minute is genuinely gripping to watch, and it brings back a mystery to the Doctor that we haven't seen since Series 1.
Who are you?
I don't know yet. I'm still cooking.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Tennant was a very human version of the character, but Smith reignites the alienness to great effect. The plot of the episode mostly takes a back seat to introducing this new Raggedy Doctor and our new companion Amy Pond. It's not as if the plot is badly written or anything, it just isn't as important as introducing our new heroes, and I think by and large that was probably the right decision. Also, there's a crack in Amy's role. It doesn't sound like much, but it's going to be a big deal. Also, this might be my favourite scene in the show.
All of time and space, everything that ever happened or ever will. Where do you want to start?
The 11th Hour brings out the fantastical and magical elements of the show. It provides the strongest debut for a new Doctor ever. And also Marigold is still killing it with the music.
Been knocking around on my own for a while, my choice, but I've started talking to myself all the time. It's giving me earache.
It would probably be my choice as the best jumping on point for anyone who hasn't seen the show before. So yeah, I think it's pretty good. Episode 2 is The Beast Below, and it's probably one of 11's most overlooked stories. And you know, I can understand why, it's not exactly anything to really shout about. But that being said, it's better than average, it's got some interesting ideas, no complaints from me. You know, we haven't heard from Mark Gatiss in a while, what's he been up to? Ah yeah, my least favourite Doctor Who writer. Not as a person, by the way, I think he's a pretty cool guy. Now, some of you are probably quite surprised that I'm not giving the title of worst Doctor Who writer to this guy. And I do have a justification for that. We'll get to it. But for now, let's just look at Mark's episode in Series 5, shall we? Oh, seriously, these guys again? Sorry to interrupt, but I was looking back at the footage and I got to do something about this because it just looks ridiculous. This is how I start my ASMR channel. Ow. In 1966, fearing this whole regeneration thing might not work out, the producers of the show made sure the second Doctor's first story was with the Daleks, with the thinking being that the Daleks' inclusion could soften the shock of having their lead actor being replaced. Fans might not want to watch this new version of the show, but chances are they will watch a story where the Daleks come back. Clearly, there is similar thinking here. Tennant was super popular, so get the Daleks back, get them in early, people will watch it. In fairness, not the worst idea in the world. They even hyped up the new Daleks' sexy redesign. New era, new Daleks. Unfortunately, this backfired because everything I just said went to shit. The episode itself is alright for a Gattaca script, although they do stop the bomb with the power of love. The Doctor's best buds with noted genocide committer Winston Churchill. He also calls off an attack of the Dalek ship, which could wipe them out forever for like no reason. The Daleks are all like, oh, you better call off this fucking attack, mate, otherwise we're gonna destroy the entire Earth. But then, obviously, they don't keep to their word, the bomb doesn't stop, but still the Doctor's like, oh, better call off this fucking attack then. He didn't even need to be there. He could have gone down and stopped the bomb while the Spitfires were still attacking the spaceship. It doesn't make any sense, Mark. Oh, and by the way, those new Daleks, yeah, they look like this. I have some thoughts. If you write an episode whose central premise is basically to go, hey look, new Dalek design, and then later you scrap that Dalek design because of all the backlash, then you're left with what was at the time just a mediocre Dalek episode into what is now a complete waste of 40 minutes of your life. And that's why we've been stuck with the same Time War Dalek design that we've had for the last 20,000 years. And hey look, there's a crack over there. Do you guys like Blink? Do you guys like The Weeping Angels? Do you guys like River Song? The greatest hits of Stephen Moffat. Coming, spring 2010. The Angels get new powers, which unintentionally invalidates the ending of Blink. Oops, way to go Sally, you've doomed us all. Hey, there's a crack over there. It's The Weeping Angels in a blockbuster. Most of the story is just spent with these schmucks crawling to survive. On the whole, it is pretty good, nowhere near Blink levels though. Moving on to Vampires in Venice. Surprise, the vampires are actually aliens.
Never heard that one before.
Okay, in the episode's defense, they do actually come up with some pretty clever ideas why these sardines are so vampiric. Also, Amy's boyfriend tags along, and his and Amy's dynamic is a joy to watch. His name is Rory, by the way. He'll be important later. Oh! No, he dies. JK trolled that was just a dream, and you can thank this guy for that. This is the Dream Lord, an amazing villain of Series 5, who answers the question, what if the 11th Doctor was sexy? Take all the darkness of the Doctor's psyche, pump it into a chubby short king, and add a flare of dream powers, and that's basically this dude. The episode solves the conflict between these two competing over Amy. She chooses Rory, by the way. Good choice, we like Rory. One of 11's absolute best episodes, and we've already had one of those this series, so we're looking pretty good so far. Chippers returns to give us the Silurian two-parter. Boo, the Silurians aren't aliens.
They're Earth-lians.
Inhabitants of the planet before our species started wrecking the place. They went into planet-wide hibernation when they saw the moon was getting a bit too close for comfort. They're actually really interesting creatures, most of them aren't even villains. Alas, all of their stories more or less play out the same. The Earth is ours! No, it's ours! Can't we all just get along? No. Boring! Rory dies again. Don't worry though, that's gonna happen an unnecessarily frequent amount of times. Hey, there's a crack over there. Okay, what is going on? Was there an earthquake at the set department? We're only 10 episodes into 11's run, and already I'm pulling up this phone. You've probably seen a bit of Vincent and the Doctor before. There's a moment where the Doctor and Amy take Vincent van Gogh into modern day 2010, and they take him to the Louvre so that he can see that eventually he will be remembered as one of the greatest painters who ever lived. It's like the most viewed clip of the show on YouTube. That hack of a creator, Edge of the Map, used it in their video about art. Great video, by the way. Go watch it if you want to see me before I really knew what I was doing. Just kidding, I still don't really know what I'm doing. Admittedly, the episode is a bit misleading. Van Gogh wasn't totally unappreciated in his day. Also, it's an episode where they fight invisible monsters. Not to total accuracy, this is Doctor Who, not National Geographic. Some people don't like the invisible monster that only Vincent van Gogh can see. It's a metaphor about depression, you giraffe-faced plebeian. Having a monster that fits with the historical figure beyond, hey look, it's Shakespeare fighting witches. Go fuck yourself, Gareth. And it's nice when we get historical episodes that are actually clever and have some thought put into them. For my money, it's the best historical since Father's Day. Nah, fuck it. This is better than Father's Day, and that's no small feat. It's all about you! Speaking of this whale-shaped bin bag, following this episode is The Lodger, featuring no one's favourite alleged comedian. In fairness to... he's such a black hole of talent, I've genuinely forgotten his name. In fairness to James Corden, he's actually alright here. He's not too James Corden-y. As much as I hate this writer and this actor as human beings, this episode is annoyingly not that bad. Maybe I just really like watching the Doctor play football. For reasons, flaky reasons if you ask me. The Doctor has to act human for a bit, blend in, it's kind of fun, admittedly, but it isn't great or anything, and I still hate you. And you. The first Moffat finale, part 1, the Pandora opens. Honestly, it's tempting, but I judged two parters together, so come back later. Something bad is going to happen to the TARDIS and all of time is going to splinter as a result. End of the universe, baby. Wait, didn't we do that last series? Yep. And somehow it's still interesting to watch here. Rory's back, sorta. So is River, so is all of these guys. Holy fuck. It's a rewarding watch for series regulars seeing it all come together. Plus Moffat gives Eleven an insane monologue on top of Stonehenge. One of Eleven's best ever moments, one of his best ever episodes. Again. Great setup for part 2, which is also pretty good. Not quite as sharp as part 1, like how did 11 get out of the Pandoric in the first place? And there's a lot of wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff to justify the story existing. But hey, come on, it's still great TV. Fast-paced, funny, frantic and fun. That's the 11th Doctor all over. It's honestly at the same level of Series 4's finale, and bear in mind, that was the culmination of 4 series worth of TV. This is still just Moffat and Smith's first go at this. We end with more than a few mysteries left unsolved, and for the first time ever, we're going into the next series with the same Doctor and the same companions, which makes a nice change from all of the moping. So overall then, yeah, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I think this is the strongest series of the show up to this point. The only real stinker is Victory of the Daleks, but even then, it's not even the worst Dalek story. The Silurian 2-part is kind of boring, the Lodge isn't exactly a masterclass, and that's kind of it. Almost everything else is really good or great. The 11th Hour, Amy's Choice, Vincent and the Doctor, and the finale are some of the very best episodes of the Moffat era. Plus there's that fairly great Weeping Angels 2-parter. For the record, even though I'm not talking about it here, the Christmas special from that year is the best we've ever had up till that point. No question, Series 5 belongs right next to Series 4. Okay, that's enough of me sucking Moffat's dick, because it's all downhill from here. Right from the off, this one's going to be quicker to talk about, because I have a lot less nice things to say about Series 6. The series starts out with a bang. Specifically the bang of the Doctor being shot and definitely dying. I wonder if he'll make it out alive. The Impossible Astronaut is excellent. The second part of the story, Day of the Moon, is less good, but it's alright. We get introduced to the Silence, creatures you forget the moment you look away from them. Classic Moffat, simple concept, great monster. Unlike the 11th Hour, it's a more plot-heavy opening to the series, while still setting up the beats that will become important later. The Curse of the Black Spot is so painfully average they have to kill Rory again just to try and get your attention back. Next is The Doctor's Wife, which is another of Eleven's very best. It was written by noted maniac Neil Gaiman, and if you know anything about the guy, then you kinda know what you're in for here. Simply put, what if the TARDIS was a woman?
She's the TARDIS.
And she's a woman.
Did you wish really hard?
Feel like that's the kind of premise you'd find on a parody video on the Hub.
Shut up, not like that.
Michael Sheen plays House, not that house, a sentient planet thing who stitches up these two clowns and this Ood, with the body parts of dead Time Lords.
That's Ood.
Fear me, I've killed hundreds of Time Lords.
Fear me, I've killed all of them.
It's a story where the TARDIS gets to talk to the Doctor. If that doesn't interest you, then why are you watching this video? Is it for my great hair or my sexy accent, which is apparently unintelligible? I haven't even got a particularly thick accent. I've got a weird Scottish-Welsh hybrid. Truly an abomination to all that is holy. Anyway. This episode is about as great as you'd expect, which sadly you can't say for the following 2-parter. I hadn't seen The Almost People and The Rebel Flesh since it aired. I remembered it being just kind of boring and average, but fuck me was I wrong. This is the first truly awful story of Eleven's run, written by the guy who did Fear Her, if you remember that stinker. If it weren't for the fact this guy only wrote these 2 stories, I'd probably give him the title of Worst Doctor Who writer, cause this is fucking shite. Way too long, every character acts like an idiot, they do the obvious twist that the real Doctor is actually the one you thought was fake, the side characters are so dull, it feels like none of them even have fixed character traits, god-awful CGI, but most of all, it's just unbelievably boring. And the worst part is, it's actually relevant to the series arc, so you kinda have to watch it if you want to know what's going on. Let me save you 90 minutes of your life. As it turns out, this isn't the real Amy. She's actually been kidnapped by the Silence. Why? Spoilers. A Good Man Goes to War is fine, I guess. It's a very unique episode of the show. It's definitely worth watching for the twist at the end, but the rest of the episode, there's a lot of crap in it. This was definitely the first early sign that Moffat was beginning to lose his magic touch, if you ask me. Like, for example, there are these 2 side characters who are in it for like basically no reason. And they're just called the thin one and the fat one, because them being thin, fat, Anglican gay Marines means that apparently they don't need names. Okay. And most of it's just kind of meh. Now obviously there is that twist, which I do think is a pretty good twist. even if Moffat fucks it up in the next episode. But I guess it's okay.
You're watching the British Emergency Broadcasting System. The time is slipping inexorably away.
Series 6 was split into two halves, which from what I can tell was Moffat's way of trying something new. Or maybe it was because the Beeb wanted to fix the usual mid-series rating slump. Or maybe it was because Moffat was busy writing Sherlock, back when that was still good. Whatever the reason, it was a few months before we picked up from the cliffhanger that Last Chance, River, Song, is Amy and Rory's daughter, Melody Pond. Huh? But we finally came back after the break for the episode Let's Kill famous Austrian painter. Moffat's first really bad episode. I'm just gonna spoil the whole thing for you because it is not worth your time. So we're introduced to this character called Mel's, and she's Amy and Rory's childhood best friend who has always been there. Don't question that you're only being introduced to it now. And she's someone who grew up with them and aged at the exact same time that they did. Don't know why I'm bringing this up, not like this isn't going to make any sense in like 5 minutes. Surprise! Mel's is actually Melody. You named your daughter after your daughter. Yeah, very, very clever. Amazing how she was a kid in the 1960s in New York and then somehow found Amy and Rory and then only started aging after she found them. That nonsense aside, in the actual episode, very little of it features the famous Austrian painter. Mostly it's about this shape-changing police robot, which I'm only mentioning because later on in the series it will be the underwhelming resolution to. The whole thing is such a sloppy, poopy mess that I could have sworn Moffat wrote it when he was on the bog. The Ponds themselves are remarkably unfazed by all of this. I mean, Amy was cloned and kidnapped, she and Rory had their baby taken away, but none of it seems to really bother them. By the end of the episode, they just go off having adventures as normal. You know, I think if this happened to me, I'd at least like to go to fucking space counselling or something. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, it's a pretty terrible episode. Who wrote the next one? Oh, for fuck's sake! Okay, to be fair to Mark, I don't actually hate this one. In fact, dare I say it, but it's kind of good. The only negative is the child acting, which I won't bully them for, and honestly it isn't totally horrendous. But yeah, apart from that, it's solid. It's got a good monster, there's good atmosphere, it's above average. Well done, Marky Poo. You made an above average episode. But it isn't as good as what comes next. The Girl Who Waited, or as I call it, the one where Rory finally calls the doctor out on his bullshit. It's one of the more depressing episodes of the show, in a good way. I wish the Rory and Doctor conflict went a bit further, otherwise it's well worth a watch. But even then, The Girl Who Waited is not as good as The God Complex. Tough call between this and The Doctor's Wife for best episode of the series. Introducing Toby Whitehouse. You've seen his stuff before. He wrote School Reunion from Series 2, one of the better Series 2 episodes if you ignore the paper thin plot. He also did Vampires in Venice from the last series. So he's fairly good at writing for this show, but this is his best work by far. I don't think I can really do this one justice in describing it, you'll just have to watch it for yourself. Briefly, spooky space hotel with people's worst nightmares behind every door. And some of the most memorable side characters we've ever had. And the monster's really interesting. And it explores the Doctor-companion relationship in a really cool way. All three of these are solid and do a good job of washing the bad taste of mediocrity out of your mouth. Then this cunt comes back. Oh, and he brought Colden along. Closing Time is absolute wank. The first proper Cyberman story since The Next Doctor, and they're so badly used you wonder why they even bothered including them. This could have been any monster and it wouldn't have made a difference. Most of the episode is spent with this cuck, who has a jealous hissy fit against the Doctor for the second time. I could forgive it in the logic because he didn't really know what was going on then, but this is just unnecessary. The Doctor tells Colden his plan to stop the Cyberman in front of the Cybermen, who then obviously stop him because duh. And in the end, they get defeated with the power of love. Fuck off, Gareth. Okay, let's wrap this up. The Reading of River Song is the first finale that isn't a two-parter. The whole River Song story arc has been such a shit show all series. Moffat really fell off here. If you hate this finale, I can see why. There's just so much crap going on, it's hard to even make a concrete opinion out of it. It starts out in a sort of parallel world, Amy's back, oh yeah, the Ponds left for like an episode and we're supposed to think that was a big deal. They even show up in the episode they're not supposed to be and like, what the fuck? Amy's back, but she's bad, not really, to the Great Pyramid, Silencer in prison there, not really. Everyone starts dying, time is stuck by the way, but then it starts moving again. All of this because River unfixed a fixed point and now all of time is happening at once, but also it's not happening, it's actually kind of disintegrating. Also, you know there's solar flares, solar what? There are actually calls from people saying they'll help the Doctor from dying, so that's that's nice of them. Then River and the Doctor get married, then she kills him. Wait, hold on. Remember the shape-shifting robot from Let's Kill Austrian Painter? No, it's back, and it was the Doctor all along. I'm Stephen Moffat, and I'm so clever. I got cold. Right, I hope you got all of that, because there's a bunch of stuff I didn't even mention. Like, for example, the reason why the Silents want to kill the Doctor is so that he can't answer the oldest question in the universe. It's hidden in plain sight. So clever. And I didn't really get into the whole why did they kidnap River in the first place. Like, I mean, surely anyone could have done this. Why did it even have to be her? Pretty abysmal, if you ask me. On the whole, I do not think this series works very well. Yes, it's got some great episodes, but there's also a lot of terrible, awful garbage. Also, I think it's only fair that since I mentioned last year's Christmas special for being exceptionally good, I have to mention this year's one for being exceptionally bad. Possibly Moffat's worst script, possibly Murray Gold's very worst score. And it also marks the point where the 11th Doctor starts to become a goofy, annoying caricature. Judging this series, this is tough. This is honestly really tough. It's definitely one of these, but I feel if I was harsh on Series 3, it's only fair we put Series 6 in the same bracket. Really, they have a lot of similar problems, and they both commit the same sin of fucking up their series arc. Series 7! Wait, hold on, what time are we on? 40 minutes, fucking Christ, you're still watching this? Right, okay, since Series 7 was split in two halves, we'll do the first half because it's only 5 episodes. Starting with the opener, Asylum of the Daleks. You might have noticed there wasn't a Dalek story last series, thank God, but they're back for this one, and it's really good. If you don't pay any attention to what's going on. So first off, it starts out with the Daleks kidnapping the Doctor and the Ponds with relative ease. Kinda makes you wonder why they don't start doing this all of the time. Then they go down to the planet of insane Daleks. We get introduced to this person who we're gonna call Not Clara. Throughout the episode we hear her voice several times, but surprise, actually that doesn't make any sense because she's a Dalek. I firmly believe that people only like this one because it's got old Daleks in it, and that is the only reason. Moving on to Chibnall's Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. It is okay, there is nothing interesting to say about it. Moving on to episode 3, A Town Called Mercy. I'm not gonna knock this one too harshly because I think it's a case where it just doesn't work for me, but I can see it working for someone else. I think it's just kind of average, but admittedly it does have some interesting character moments. I find it a bit too long and kind of boring, but judge it for yourself. Moving on to Chibber's second story this season, The Power of Three. At the time I thought this one was really good, but thankfully I'm older now and I can tell you this is also utter crap. Small cubes just appear all over the earth at once. The Doctor hangs around for a bit with the Ponds to see if the cubes are going to do anything. But then there's also an alien portal to the spaceship where these two guys are kidnapping people. Why? Absolutely no fucking idea, the episode sure doesn't tell you. Oh, and it just so happens to be where Rory works. Well, that's a fucking coincidence, isn't it?
After spending a year on the planet, what do the cubes actually do? Oh, they give everyone a heart attack. Bet Chad could come up with like 17 faster ways to destroy the entire planet with a lot less effort. Don't be fooled by its fun moments, this script doesn't make any fucking sense and Chibnall is an absolute hack.
It could have been a lot better.
Closing off with The Angels Take Manhattan, which is really popular for some reason. I have absolutely no idea why. This time it's the Weeping Angels' turn to jump the shark. Funny how that keeps happening in stories based in Manhattan. The Statue of Liberty. Oh my god, it's so stupid. The Statue of Liberty is a weeping angel. Do I really need to add anything else? I figure people probably like this one because it's the one where the Ponds leave. What actually causes them to go? Well, after escaping and making it out alive, when they're all just about ready to go, Rory turns back away from the TARDIS and goes to stare at a gravestone, which he says, "Oh, Amy, look, it's got the same name as me. How fucking weird." And then he just stares at it blankly as if to say, "Ha, ha, foreshadowing." Did Rory just forget the last hour of his life? You're dealing with creatures that send you back in time and you think it's a good idea to hover around your own gravestone. Anyway, surprise, surprise, there's one angel that made it out alive because of fucking course there was. Piss the fuck off. Asylum of the Daleks and Angels Take Manhattan are another two of Moffat's very fucking worst stories, and I am staggered that people like these ones. Okay, if you made it this far in, you're a fucking lunatic. If you like this video and you want to help support the channel, the best thing you can do is share it. The last time I uploaded something, I had, I think, 65 subscribers. Now I'm in the weird position where I'm saying, can we get to 1,000 before the end of the year? Is that an unreasonable amount to shoot for? I don't know. I'm going to take a break from talking about Dot 2 for a little while, just because there are other things I want to talk about. But since I have got a bit of an audience now, I'm going to try
try and upload a bit more frequently. You should see me before the end of the year. And yeah, thanks for all the support recently. I have read pretty much all the comments. And yeah, it's kind of crazy just how much growth has been going on. So, thanks. Yeah, and follow me on Instagram if you want. Okay, I think that just about does it. Thanks for fucking bye.